Welcome to Supernova's at-home learning series. I'm Jarman, a program coordinator with Supernova. Today we're going to be talking about motion in Scratch and what some of the blocks can do. Scratch uses a minus 240 to positive 240 on the X and a minus 180 to a plus 180 on the Y grid coordinate system. It also uses a 360 degree rotational system, and knowing those two things, we can make our Scratch Cat sprite go anywhere we want. So you can see it bouncing around the screen right now. So first, let's look at some basic movement blocks. And so we have 4. First, let's say move 10 steps. So this block is a stackable block, and the sprite will jump 10 steps in the direction it's facing. So if we click that to test it, we can see the cat jump to the right. And we can see this jumping more drastically if we change the number. So if we change it to 150, we can see the cat jumping to the next spot. So if we want a more fluid motion, we can use one of the 2 glide blocks. So this first one glides to a random position for one, and it takes 1 second to get there. And if we keep clicking, you'll see it jump all around the screen. And you can see sometimes it goes fast and sometimes it goes slow because it always takes 1 second to get to whatever position it's trying to get to. The second glide block is a specific coordinate. So if we set that to 0, 0, we can make the cat go home, and it'll take 1 second to get there. And now it won't do anything else because it's already home. The last block we see is an if on edge bounce. So it's a little bit different, and what that does is if the cat gets to the edge, it'll flip it around. And so with our demonstration here, our demo program, we can move 5 steps continuously, and if it's on the edge, it'll bounce. So we can see that the cat flips upside down, and now it walks in the direction it's facing. And so it's facing right, flips, and is facing left. And it'll do that continuously. The second type of blocks that we want to look at are rotation and direction blocks. Let's start by looking at these turn blocks. So we can make it turn any amount we want, and it kind of blinks. It kind of just jumps to those rotations. Same with the point in a direction, it will just quickly jump. So unlike with the movement blocks, there's no glide. When it turns, it jumps to that extra degree. So the clockwise and counterclockwise add to whichever way it's facing, and the point in direction supersedes that. So I can make it always look to the left and keep turning. The direction block reports which way it's looking. Now that we know how to make the Scratch Cat move side to side, we want to be able to change the Scratch Cat's direction. So there's 6 blocks related to that. We have turn clockwise, turn counterclockwise, point in a specified direction, the direction reporter block, point towards mouse pointer, and set rotation style to left, right, don't rotate, and all around. So let's start with the 2 turning blocks. These blocks will cause the sprite to change the direction that it's facing. And they'll do that incrementally, so they'll add to the total. So we can get it to turn 15 degrees, and it'll continue to turn every time we click. And we can get it to go counterclockwise 15 degrees by clicking. And that adds to whichever direction it's already facing. Sometimes in our programs we want to make the sprite or the Scratch Cat face in a specific direction, so we can use the point in direction block. And right now I have it set to minus 90, which is left, and it'll flip upside down and look left. But we can use that for any direction. So I can say 180. I can say 180. And the cat will look down. And I can continue to use these counterclockwise and clockwise blocks because it'll just keep adding to whichever direction the cat is facing. But if we want something a little more dynamic, we can use the point towards mouse pointer, and that will set the cat to just look wherever the mouse is facing. And finally, we can set the style of rotation to all around, left and right, and don't rotate at all. So in our example code, we can tell it to point towards the mouse pointer with a rotation style of all around, and it'll continually chase my mouse around, whichever direction it's facing. But I can also set that to, I can change the rotation style to left-right, and what you'll see is even though I'm rotating the mouse all around, the cat only flips left and right, but the direction is still changing. And I can set it to not rotate at all, and it won't move at all, even though the direction, if we use the reporter block, we can see the direction is still changing. So we have minus 45, minus 126, and this is where my mouse is currently. But if we combine example code 1 with example code 2, the cat will chase my mouse around without rotating at all. And we can change this with the rotation style. So if it's all around, it'll spin and chase me, and if it's left-right, it'll only face backwards and forwards. And the final set of motion blocks is the direct coordinate system. And using that, we can apply to the 480 pixels left and right and the 360 pixels up and down. So we can set X to 0, and it'll move to the center on the X coordinate axis. And we can set Y to 0, and it'll go to the center on the Y coordinate axis. So this is the origin. This is 0, 0. But we can also use these change X and change Y to make it move around the screen. But sometimes we want to do it both in the same action. So we can use this go to X, whatever coordinate you want. I have minus 148. And Y, whichever coordinate you want, I have minus 91. So we can see that it jumps to that area. And we can use the go to random position to have a little fun with it, to make it a little more dynamic, depending on what code you're trying to, or what program you're trying to have. And we can use these dynamic X and Y position reporter blocks to tell other blocks in our program where it's going to be. We can also change the random position to mouse pointer, and it'll do its best to get to me. So in our example code, you can see that it'll just blink around. But if I change that to mouse pointer, we can kind of have fun and see if you can escape the cat, like cat and mouse. But thanks for watching, and with that you should be able to start programming and make your sprite move all around the screen however you'd like it to. Thanks for watching, and stay curious.